I think when everyone reflects back on their school days, they can think of a couple of teachers who really made a difference to the path they ultimately took. For me, at the top of that list is Peter.
Both me and my brother were taught by Peter. We had the great fortune, and there's an agreement in our household that you have not learned economics until you've been taught by Peter Cramp.
I was lucky enough to be taught by Peter for my A-levels in 2013 and 2014. Although I had never studied the subject before, I ended up studying for an undergraduate and master's degree in the subject at Cambridge. I definitely have Peter's teaching and resources to thank in part for this.
I had him as a teacher for both micro and macroeconomics in my A-levels, and I achieved an A-star overall. I don't think I would have been able to do that had it not been for Peter. He has such a great understanding of economics, and that translates into his amazing exam answers.
Especially the whole year can agree that Mr. Cramp helped us at the end of our A-levels with all his revision sessions. His revision guide especially is really helpful because it is very concise and structured, and it really helped me to structure my revision.
Another thing I'd highlight is the clarity with which Peter's teaching and revision guides explained economic concepts. Because of this clarity and detail of analysis, I felt very confident going into my A-level exams that I was prepared for whatever questions the examiners could throw at me. And thanks to this, I achieved an A-star in the microeconomics papers that Peter taught me for.
He focused on the unique exam technique the paper required and ensured that every student had personalised resources created by him that they needed to feel prepared.
A fair bit of economics at A-level is about exam technique, so you need to have a really firm grasp of the material, which Mr. Cramp is brilliant at teaching and clarifying, but you also need to be able to express it well and in a way that examiners are looking for. And that's something that's made a lot easier if someone tells you how to do it, shows you some examples so you know what to aim for, and I think Mr. Cramp's resources are particularly great for that.
He goes the extra mile for his pupils because he genuinely cares about their successes. For example, he would write up model answers for us and things like that.
Peter is so much more than just making you pass an exam and having great economic knowledge. He takes you that step further and allows you to understand economics as a subject, and therefore allows you to feel comfortable with the subject, with the exam, allows you to think about it independently, to make your own examples. So when you are in the exam, you aren't trying to just remember words from a textbook, but you have remembered it yourself and you know it yourself, and you feel so confident as a result of him.
In the run-up to the exam season, the advice that Peter provided was extremely valuable, whether it was the revision sessions or providing all the students with practice papers and exemplar answers.
I honestly didn't think I was going to get an A in my economics A-level, but I did, and I'm crediting Peter and his teaching and revision materials massively for that.
I felt incredibly prepared for my exam even before any revision, and that was because Peter prepared me so well during term time, and actually when I used to sit exam questions I could hear Peter's voice in my head such that I knew exactly what to write and how to structure my answers.
What was also really amazing was his just attention to detail, especially concerning exams, and I was so grateful for our year because he managed to predict 3 of our long answer questions in the exam.
He left us with no nasty surprises on the actual day of the exam, including a spooky ability to guess the long answer questions that were going to come up.
He often gave his own example papers, and me and my brother always say that all the questions that he said would come up always tended to come up. So that was very useful.
I don't know how he did it, but managed to predict a few of the questions in our exam, which was amazing because a lot of us found the exam a lot easier and we wouldn't have got the grades we got without that.
Finally, I also have to mention Peter's prophetic ability with regard to exams. In all honesty, I truly believe that his prediction of the questions that came up in the exam saved my performance. Though I'm convinced he had one already, I decided to buy Peter a crystal ball upon receiving my exam results. He really is that good.
As a teacher, he's fun, engaging and knowledgeable, and that really comes across in his economics factory resources. They provide a depth of analysis and depth of evaluation which goes far beyond any other textbook.
Peter's books, if you don't have them, I'd recommend getting them. I've still got one. I've got one here with me just to show you. This is the revision guide to economics.
and I should actually use that at university from time to time when I need to get back to the basics of economic theories.
Peter's economic guide was genuinely referred to by students in our year as Cramp's economic bible, and it really was just that. I pretty much solely revise using that book.
If you're wanting to delve a little deeper and gain a proper understanding, then Mr. Cramp's resources are definitely the way to do so, and I would 100% recommend.
I found his revision guides to be an absolute godsend. I still have them now. Sometimes have a flick through if I can't understand something on the news, just to give myself a little refresh.
His resources are so clear and contain so many diagrams with really clear explanations and real life examples that really bring the subject to life.
It was always extremely reassuring to have his Economics Factory resources to hand throughout my studies.
I couldn't recommend his book and his resources enough, and you really are missing out if you don't buy one.
He's such a great person to have by your side during your economic studies, and I cannot recommend him enough. So please use his resources, you won't regret it, and you'll probably come out with an excellent grade too.